Welcome to the Premier League show. It's actually it's a happier week for us to talk about Premier League football because I haven't won a Premier League.
I feel in a Premier League mood.
Premier League.
I wasn't in a Premier League mood
No,
last
we
week.
were very much in Championship mode last
Championship
week.
mode.
But this week we can talk about the Premier League. There was a huge game over the weekend to determine where the Premier League might be heading.
Burnley versus Norwich.
Burnley v
Norwich
Norwich
versus Burnley.
Obviously, Man City, Liverpool, which is developing into, it is, over the last 3 or 4 years, really developed into a rivalry.
A friendly rivalry.
It's what it is. It's like a high-quality rivalry, isn't it? Because they've been the best two teams for the last 4 years. I think every year's been narrow. And even the years that the both teams have won it by a margin, when you've had the points together, it's still
a point
quite
between them
or something like
over
that.
3 years.
So when you look at it like that, it is developing into probably maybe one of the highest quality rivalries.
Yeah, that's what I would
football.
say. I would say.
But biggest rival, I've seen that mentioned a couple of times. Is this the biggest rivalry? Well, the lads over on the Last Fan Standing have been discussing who they think has been the biggest Premier League rivalry.
I think the most fiercest rivalry, and not derby, was Manchester United Arsenal. There was always a little bit of needle between the managers, needle between the players, the captains, everything. You see Kevin De Bruyne and that walking off the pitch, shaking each other's hands, holding each other and that, and it's all a bit friendly. So I do think in terms of football-wise and the quality of football, it's right up there with the Arsenal-Manchester United stuff. But I do think there's not enough needle there for that to be the fiercest rivalry.
Where's the Vieira and Keane rivalry?
Although in terms of the quality of the football, it's of course right up there. In terms of a derby, I've always felt, obviously, Manchester United, Liverpool's biggest two teams, and when we play each other, I'm more nervous for that game than anything else. But the quality of the games is never really great. As a neutral, I always enjoy watching the North London derbies because they are usually good games of football. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, in terms of the fiercest rivalry, I have to go Man United Arsenal.
It's because of
all I've got to hold on to is the past, and believe me, I'm holding on to it.
Interesting. I mean, they have just brought up, obviously, Arsenal Man United, which was a different kind of rivalry. It was two fantastic teams, because they were, but there was real aggression and needle in them ones, wasn't there? And I think you talked about this last week. You mentioned that it was the Vieira, Keane, all of that. You did. Yeah. That was an unbelievable rivalry for a few years.
I think that was the best rivalry. Don't get me wrong, this Man City Liverpool rivalry is good. The quality, it's probably the highest quality. Don't get me wrong, but that was two teams going at it.
Didn't like each other, did they?
Lots of needle, lots of personality. You know, north, east, south. Managers who didn't quite get on at the time either. I know in later,
could kick each other.
In later years, you could kick each other, and which I always find is great.
It's important.
In footy, I always do find that. I think it's one thing missing at the moment is you can't kick people. That's why I like Atletico Madrid so much. I really do. I really like the fact that they go out and just kick out of people. It's boss. No, I really like that rival. And that just might be my age. It was two teams who absolutely flew with each other. And I know Liverpool and Man City do. And again, no issue. It's good football and stuff. But now it's very much is in the spirit of the game. No one's really touched. I mean, Liverpool players did touch some of the Man City players. But then it was just a different thing for me. And Manchester United had, 1999, won the Champions League and won the league. We're winning all the titles. And then Wenger came in and had to somehow stop that. And of course, Arsenal went to Old Trafford and won the Premier League. To do that turnaround and go to, and then Arsenal then become an amazing team with Vieira and with Henry, and then United had to wrestle it back, and then they beat them. I think United beat them 8-2 at Old Trafford one game early on the season, and then I think it sort of ended up actually with Manchester United buying Robin van Persie, and that was the last time they won the league, and that was like like
the end of it.
But that was what I'm saying. That was the end of it because Man United. That sort of was the end of Arsenal being a big team because Wenger left not long after, maybe a year or two later, And Sir Alex left and Moyes took over. And that's where the rivalry ended. It was like, it ended with Robin van Persie leaving. And that was like the exclamation mark that Man United were like, we are the bigger team, we are the better team. And I just thought it was just, for me, that's when like, I just think football was at its highest level. The football itself mightn't have been as good as what it is now, but the mix of aggression, and it was before, put it this way, it was before players started doing that when they talk to each other. That has been the death of football, because that to me signifies how self-aware football players are of what they say and what they do, and suddenly football has just gone very, very beige. But the football's amazing. I have to say, this rivalry is incredible. Listen, there's been other rivalries, I think we did speak about it last week, but I just love that rivalry. I just think when people talk about like Vieira and Keane and these two teams, they will look back and say the same about City and Liverpool, and it will be looked upon as the best of the best of the best. But I personally really enjoyed that rivalry.
No, it was fantastic, and we had the situation, didn't we, where Arsenal won it in '98 with Wenger, and he came and he'd been here a couple of years, and then United went better the next year by winning the league and the Champions League, and then he did have a little bit of a ding dong, and you remember Wiltord scoring at Old Trafford, or Overmars scoring at Old Trafford, and we had the Van Nistelrooy and Martin Keown things, and Keane and Vieira, and it went on, and you're right, it was kind of when Van Persie was bought by Manchester United, and he went and won then the title, and then Sir Alex left. That was it. Wenger stayed there till 2016, didn't he? Other few years, but it'd gone then, and Man City started picking off Arsenal players, didn't he? Adebayor, Sagna, and all of that. Arsenal were dismantled a little bit because of obviously moving to the Emirates and the money, the different ways that they couldn't spend as much money, whatever. And Arsene Wenger was trying to still build it in the old style, and it did move away a little bit, and it has been replaced with Liverpool City, hasn't it?
I also think that played a part in it though, leaving Highbury. There was something special about those games at Highbury with Man United. There was something really special. That horrible tight tunnel, like Everton have obviously got now.
Highbury was brilliant.
That led to obviously the Keane and Vieira situation. There was so much. Wasn't there also what was the one at Old Trafford, Pizzagate? Where Fabregas threw a pizza at Alex Ferguson.
There was all
like a hot pizza in him or something. Like, there was all kinds going on.
All stuff went on.
And that, to me, and I might be a little bit old-fashioned now, and I might be a little bit older, but I fucking love that stuff. I love...
They even had like Champions League with Arsenal United at Old Ronaldo with that free kick from about 40 yards and stuff.
I love a bit of needle in a game. I love something extra. I love... Because to me, that's what football is. It's not about... There's the mental side teams have got to get over of knowing that it's going to be a battle. And football, listen, some of the football being played at the moment by the two teams is incredible. But it's also quite sanitised. And as I said, I've seen Atletico Madrid playing this week, and a lot of people have said how disgusting it was and all that. I thought it was brilliant. I like that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, might just be me. I like that kind of stuff. If it goes off, it goes off. That's footy. That's passion. That's what I wish there was more of in footy, but it isn't. And don't get me wrong, not fouls, not kicking out of each other. What I mean is like that little bit of competitive.
You can't tackle now, though.
That thing of that thing of looking at another team and going, we can't beat you. You're bigger than us. You're better than us. We're going to have to do something a little bit naughty to beat you. And again, that's not like, it can be perceived in many ways, and loads of people don't like it anymore, but I love it. I love it. I love the dark arts. I absolutely love the dark arts in football. And that's, you see, the thing about it is though, when South Americans come to the Premier League and people go, look how much they care, it's because they've come from that environment. They know how to survive. Our players in this country now they come through the academy systems, and it's all nicey, and people wonder why they can't survive in the competitive games. And yet people come from South America and places, and they will give everything.
Play on the edge, don't they?
And they don't mind diving, they don't mind throwing themselves on the floor, holding the face and all that kind of thing. To me, I love it all. I love all that. don't know what it is.
Well, you've just mentioned the purity. This was obviously, there was a couple of naughty challenges by Liverpool players in the game, but the game in general seen two excellent club, excellent football sides doing battle. City probably should have won it, but 2-2 and there's still the point separates them at the top of the table. We've seen. I mean, just for De Bruyne and obviously Gabriel Jesus, Trent Alexander-Arnold trying to play offside, I think, not realising I think it might have been Mathew was keeping someone on. For the second goal and Liverpool equalised, then great ball by Salah to Mane, but just when you look at Jota for Liverpool, what a signing he's been, because at Wolves, he was a good player, got 10 goals, but he's gone there.
When you think he missed out on Werner.
Yeah, I know.
And how he was...
Timo Werner would have been good for Liverpool.
No, I know, but it's the fact that he missed out on him, then went and got somebody else for 20 million quid, and his goal record is unbelievable. He's come in...
40, wasn't he?
He's what?
40.
Was he 40?
Sure he was, yeah. Sure he was.
Rising to 40.
Yeah. No, he's been great.
He's come in, took the pressure. Firmino, who hadn't really scored a lot of goals, as
his moments.
As his moments, of course. He's a great striker. But he's come in and he's took over the goal responsibility. And I think what actually happened by him taking over the goals was, then Liverpool stopped relying on Salah and Mane to score in every single game, which meant you could leave them out then. And then by leaving them out, then you could go and buy backups for them. And they brought like Diaz. And then, so he comes in, and he's not relied on to score, because Jota's going to score. And suddenly, where Liverpool used to be knackered by this time of year, they're not anymore. And that's what's...
Well, they got 5, and if you include Origi, who they wheel out at Christmas to let way in with a few goals, they got 6
but that's the thing. But the thing about it is, it used to be like, you had to rely on one of them to score, Mane or whatever. But now, they can just change the team all, and they're all... They're frighteningly good.
And then you've obviously got the purity of Man City, who are just incredible anyway, aren't they? I mean, he played on the edge. Sterling looked to have been judged offside when he put City 3-2 up. It was, if he was, you're talking minuscule.
Yeah, I don't
they
think
hit the post as well. Mahrez last minute at the post.
But don't you think, though, that that's the thing, though, is that Manchester City can play that well and then not win?
Well, that's twice they've played Liverpool. He drew 2-2 twice. He'd been a better side in both. Should have put the game to bed in both. And that's Jamie Carragher's words, by the way, not just an Evertonian speaking. Well, mind you, Jamie Carragher, the Evertonian. And Liverpool have held on in there for both games. So a point in it, 8 games to go. Some big games coming up for both of them. They both got through in the Champions League this week. Liverpool got Villarreal in the semi. They'll fancy themselves, although Villarreal won't be any pushovers, having not Bayern Munich out, of course. Man City have got Real Madrid, haven't they? Almost had Chelsea. So they've got some big games. Liverpool have got United next. Game the weekend in Manchester. Semi-final this weekend, Manchester City at Wembley on Saturday. Then you've got United, then Everton. You've got big games coming up.
Yeah, it's what you want if you're them, isn't it?
But like you've just said, with the players they've got, the squad they can handle it. So it's gonna be very tight, and you wouldn't put it past it going to the last day with a point in it as well, would you? So it's very, very, very tight. 2-2 with those. Just touching on, obviously that's the top 2. Chelsea, who we'd seen the week before, get smashed at home by Brentford in a weird game. Went to Southampton, and for a while looked like Southampton were on for the 3rd consecutive 9-0 in a year, didn't it? 6-0 down with 20 odd minutes to go. Yeah. But Chelsea going to Southampton and just really
it was like they took it out on them, wasn't it? What had happened in the Brentford game, or what happened in the Real Madrid game, the first leg. They just went after them and they just took them to bits. The counter-attacking pace.
Yeah. And Timo Werner, you mentioned, got a brace.
He hit the both posts and the crossbar in the space of the first 25 minutes.
And ended up with 2 goals.
They ended up with 2 goals, but no, they just clicked, didn't they? Mason Mount was brilliant.
They had 14 attempts on target, Chelsea.
Yeah, they were Southampton. I'd love to be playing Southampton now. They just look like they've got the flip-flops on and they're ready. They've got their 30 odd points and they're ready now. Yeah. They'll win another game or 2 before the end of the season, maybe 1 or 2, hopefully. One in a couple of weeks.
next week.
And they've got the flip-flops and Chelsea just in no mood to arse about.
Strange Chelsea, aren't they? When you look at the players they've got and you see they can do that, and we've seen them at the Bernabeu in midweek 3-0 up and give a stupid goal away, otherwise they'd have got through. And then you see them drop games like Brentford and things.
The mad thing about Chelsea is I just don't think they've got the squad. I know how stupid that sounds, I just don't think they've got the squad. I think that's where the top two get away from them, is that they've just got... You look at Chelsea's bench, and I think when push comes to shove, they're just not good enough. They've got a kind of squad which is good in October and November, when you're in the group games of the Champions League and you can bring in maybe your Ross Barkley's and your Loftus-Cheek and people like that. But I think when push comes to shove, and every single game is massive, that's to me when Liverpool and City are just like, we can put out a first team, we can put out a first team, we can put out a first team. Well, I think that's where Chelsea lost their two wing-backs and they couldn't replace them. They just didn't have the quality. And the minute that happened, the minute Chelsea started to drop, the forward options are weird. Kai Havertz has ended up being their number one centre-forward after spending nearly 100 million on Lukaku. And yet, look how opposites they are. They're just they're not compatible with each other. No. So, Chelsea are still a work in progress, but they're going to have to spend big and bring in some really good players to fill that squad out. I think they'll take Gallagher back, and I think he will definitely play in that Chelsea side. I think his energy will be massive in that Chelsea side. By the way, I think, but I don't think the likes of what
will he do with Rom?
I'd probably sell him. I'd probably sell him back to Inter Milan. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work while Thomas Tuchel's there. They just don't play the same style.
No.
And I think they need to go and bring in another Kai Havertz kind of an intelligent centre forward.
Yeah. Harry Kane.
No. He's intelligent, but they're not going to go and get him, are they?
No.
But yeah, they're just that squad. It's weird, but it's just not good enough. As I said, it's a good enough squad to beat. Good
enough to finish third.
It's good enough to finish third. It's good enough when you've got the group games of the Champions League, but when you have to take it further than that, I just don't think it can. I just don't think it's got the quality that replicates the other players.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. Obviously, that's them third.
Yeah.
Comfortably. The race for fourth.
Very interesting.
It was very interesting. Arsenal were around to Brighton at the weekend, and Arsenal have been in really good form until Liverpool beat them the other week, and then since then, lost heavily at Crystal Palace, didn't he? Brighton at home, the opportunity to get back on track with that, and they go and get beat. They go and get beat at home by Brighton. And
2 defeats in a week.
Yeah, for them, it's like, that's big, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you've got Tottenham.
Tottenham breathing down there.
Your main rivals.
Yeah. And the thing about it was United are 3 points behind Arsenal, and Everton had beat United at half 12. So, Everton winning 1-0, we'll come back to that, but that would have given Arsenal that. Like, we can get 6 points out of United now and really keep them away. And to go and lose a body blow, isn't it, to get beaten home by Brighton?
Yeah.
They haven't won many games of football.
They haven't scored goals.
No.
They haven't scored goals. So for them to score, they were soon, they were a goal behind. Then they had one ruled out just before half time.
Yeah.
And then you expect them to come out second half and they conceded the goal and yes, they got one late on, but it's the wrong time to stumble, isn't it? It really is the wrong time. Tottenham are on an absolute charge, and of course Tottenham beat Villa the day before 4-0.
It was the same day. It was at half 5, wasn't it? It was after it. Tottenham kicked off at half 5 Saturday night, and that to go to Villa and win 4-0 after your rivals have just lost at home to Brighton. Spurs were incredible. Harry Kane was unbelievable in this game. Yeah, Villa started the first 20 minutes. Villa could have been ahead. Missed a couple of good chances.
Villa were brilliant.
Well, they couldn't have been ahead because Son scored after 3 minutes, but they should have
equalised. Villa were brilliant. I mean, I think Gerrard at the end of the game said, I've got no complaints. After Tottenham had scored, Villa must have had 6 or 7 shots. Lloris has made some great saves. You've had blocks, you've had things off the line, you've had all sorts.
Yeah.
And then what happened is they come out second half and within a minute, I think, or 2 minutes, Spurs got the second one. And it's like, it's
Son's goals.
And then they're trying to play and they leave the space behind and Son gets him round the back and they get a couple more. But Villa were really unlucky in this game.
Villa had 52%, 19 attempts at goal to 11.
Exactly.
For 8 on target, Villa. 5 for Spurs. Spurs 5 on target, 1-4-0. So
it was not a 4-0 game, this. It was...
But for Spurs, fantastic.
Yeah.
See Arsenal lose, United lose. You go away to a tricky game like Villa and beat them 4-0. Of course, a lot of pressure on Steven Gerrard now. Some quarters saying he'd be gone at the end of the season. I don't know whether I believe that.
Nonsense.
But he is under pressure because he hardly won any games of football. And every manager has to win football matches, don't they? But for Spurs, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And that's really give them, you know, they've got that momentum just at the right time. They got beat at Burnley and Conte give it the all. I don't know whether I'm the right man. I might have to. And journalists were convinced he was going to resign. And since then, they've just been on a great run. They're fourth now.
4 goals as well.
Yeah. Well, they're 3 points ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal got a game in hand.
But they've got to play each other.
And then obviously it gave West Ham a great opportunity to get within 3 points of Spurs on Sunday, and they went to Brentford and ended up getting beat 2-0. You know, David Moyes was very disappointed with...
They were very flat, weren't they? They were a little bit like when they played Everton the week before, us the week before. And I think Everton should have got something out of that game. And I think in this, Brentford's need felt a little bit more than their need, and they were very, very flat. And in between the
European games,
in between the European games, and they just felt really, really flat. And Brentford just took advantage to just basic goals. But the body language of the West Ham players was just like, oh, again, we've got to play this game. And I said that about last week when they played Everton. It was just like they were there for the taking. If Everton just didn't have any mistakes and Brentford didn't have any mistakes, they've done everything the right way and got the 2 goals.
Flying out.
It was quite an easy game for them in the end.
It was in the end. They had 15 attempts at goal, so West Ham's 5.
Yeah.
Comfortable now, Brentford. What is it, 37 points they on now? 36 points, so they're safe. Moving to the other end of the table, obviously Friday night saw Newcastle beat Wolves with a penalty.
Yeah.
Chris Wood penalty, settle that one to settle Newcastle's nerves.
I think
that's probably enough now.
And I think for Wolves as well, though, I think that'll be one of those games where it's like you've missed the boat on Europe now. I think that top 7 is the top 7.
They had the chance, Wolves, if they'd have been able to get over the line in that. But Newcastle deserved it. Newcastle were the better side. 34 points now. Obviously, if Wolves would have won with Everton's win, they'd have been that in it again. Newcastle, 2 points between it. So big win for them. They're safe, like you say. Wolves, I think. Watford at home to Leeds. If Watford were going to do anything, it had to be Saturday, and Leeds went and beat them.
Well, as it was
3-0
straight after Everton had won. Obviously, Watford would have known. They would have known that they were 6 points behind, playing someone who was not that far ahead in terms of, certainly ahead of Everton at the time. If you're going to try and catch a couple of teams...
They'll either gone within 5 points of Leeds if they'd have beat them.
And Leeds just had a nice day out, didn't he? Put 3 past them, nice and comfortable. Watford got punished again for the mistakes, had a couple of chances, but got punished. And I think that puts Leeds safe. I think Leeds are safe now, to be honest. I think they'll know they can get 1 more win or 2 more wins out of their remaining fixtures because they'll be nice and relaxed and know they can go and get the wins. So I think that kind of result puts them safe.
They're on 33 points. They're 9 ahead of Burnley. Burnley have got 2 games in hand on them now.
I think Leeds will get one if not 2 more wins. So I don't see any problem for them. But that leaves Watford obviously right in the mix.
They're in trouble now. They're in big trouble. And that's
because it's a mountain to climb, isn't it?
Oh yeah, God, absolutely. Sunday saw Norwich and Burnley. At Carrow Road. A game that I thought would go this way, went the way. I thought, for the simple reason that I watched Burnley beat Everton, and he weren't very good. And Burnley scored goals because Everton just made ridiculous defensive errors. And one thing Dean Smith's done is made Norwich more tough to beat. They're not necessarily because he can't work miracles, but what he's done is tighten them up. So I looked at them and thought they won't. I'd watched them at Brighton the week before and thought they won't give Burnley the type of because the centre backs, Grant Hanley, are big lads. And they literally didn't give Burnley anything.
And they put loads of blocks in and loads of proper defending. And they got the goal early on after a great start, and then goes into the second half, and Cornet obviously misses that.
Misses a great
big chance, tapping at the far post, and he's just got it completely wrong. Then Norwich got a late second goal.
Great first touch by Pukki. Oh, what a first touch that was.
And it's gone back to 4 points again. Obviously, seen it. I mean, that's not the be all and end all because both teams have got tough fixtures, but it's there's still plenty to play for. Certainly with the fixtures fall as well. Watford are playing this weekend against West Ham, which it is away. Burnley, sorry, have got West Ham this weekend, but of course
Watford have got Brentford at home.
Yeah, this weekend. But because West Ham are in European action, you don't know what that'll take out of them. So and then Burnley playing next week after Everton have played Leicester, and it could, and then Everton play like to Liverpool and Chelsea then, so it could definitely swing around between now and then. It's just if Everton could obviously keep that nice cushion they've got now for as long as possible, if not the whole of the season, that'd be really, really nice. Thanks.
See what you're saying about Leeds, and you're right. By it, Jesse Marsh talking, and Leeds don't play for it. Leeds don't play till after Everton have played get another 2 games. Okay, one of them's Liverpool. Yeah. So, but Leeds are at Palace, and Palace are flying. Yeah. So, Everton, if Everton were to beat Leicester next week at home, which they'd like to, you'd like to think. Yeah. Everton's needs greater because Leicester aren't going up or down, they're fine. Then Everton would be 2 points behind Leeds with a game.
Yeah, but that to me just says Leeds and Everton are safe. No,
but I'm saying, because Jesse Marsh was saying, it looks good now. He said, I expect it to be tight by the time we play again because of Everton.
I mean, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to pull Leeds in so that we've got something.
But I think you might be right. I know what you're saying about West Ham. But I still think they'll beat Burnley for the simple reason that Moyes tends to get the results that he should. But you don't know. It is still tight. Yeah. It's very, very tight. Burnley, they'll be kicking themselves. Just mentioning Palace, they went to Leicester. They were level points and everything before the game. Leicester won it 2-1, didn't he? Little bit nervy at times, but Adamola Luckman and Dewsbury Hall. For Leicester, Wilf Zaha with
2 teams in the Premier League, nothing more to play for. Yeah, but, I mean they're both got cup competition, so they got something there. But in the Premier League, I think they're both where they are now.
Just briefly go back to Manchester United and Everton. Obviously, spoke about Everton, big win for them, and they needed it. But Manchester United, you watched them at close quarters on Saturday. A lot of talk about Ten Hag taking over and different things, but. Just disappointed with it. Not disappointed because you want United to be great, but when you look at United and the money they've spent, they're just so disjointed, aren't they, when you watch them?
They're very, very average.
It's weird, isn't it?
They've got very average players. They've paid a lot of money for very average players. And it sounds like another team. They're just a very average team who don't really seem to have a strategy. They don't seem to have...
What's wrong with Pogba? He's not average.
He's finished. He's done.
But why?
But again, though, it's that thing of what makes it a good player. And I don't think a lad with loads of skill who soaks around's a good player. I just see that.
You see him for France and he's generally
because he's up for it for France. It's a very straightforward thing. He plays for France. He's good for France and he loves playing for France and he knows like the team's basically partly built around him. But at Man United, he's got issues. He should have been kicked out when Lukaku went, really. That's when he should have gone, but he wasn't. And ultimately, they're just a team of individuals, aren't they? They're a team of individuals who... Ronaldo is like the king individual, isn't he? He's like the king individual who just... and he doesn't like people's mobile phones, so there you go. So I think they've got a long way to go. A long way to go.
Yeah, no, they certainly have. Let's just have a look at the league table before we finish then. Man City, top of the league by a point from Liverpool. And obviously we've talked about Chelsea third. The race for the top 4 is tight. 6 points between United and Spurs. And at the other end, we've just been talking about, obviously, Everton, Leeds, Burnley, Watford, Norwich. Still very tight down there, albeit a little bit nicer than when we done this programme last week. A little bit of breathing space. But it'll probably get tight again before the season finishes. So there you go. Make sure you check out the Last Fan Stand and the rest of that for the debate about biggest rivalries and all that. The link is in the description. Get over there, leave a comment as well. As for us, we'll see you later.